Hello students, this is Dr. Jayashree B. Dealing with the fifth semester optional English text picture of Dorian Gray, fifth semester. So recap of the previous lesson. Now as you know, Dorian is responsible for the death of Sybil Vane. When he loses her art, he rejects her outright and says you are a third-rate actress with a pretty face. So despite her pleadings, he says he will never meet her. It breaks Sybil's heart and he consumes poison, some makeup poison which was available, and dies instantly. So, then Lord Henry arrives and tells him not to go and see her body because it will lead him into scandals. Even previous to that, he had observed a change in the picture. Like he didn't know that Sybil Vane had committed suicide, but the portrait had a very sinister look about its mouth, and that day Dorian became aware of a presence in the picture. He also becomes aware of his own wish being realized, and he doesn't know actually what to do with it. So, in this session, you will know how the writer artistically constructs the plot and causality, cause and effect, how certain events lead to further catastrophic events, and how Dorian gets punished in return. So, nemesis, poetic justice, punishment, righteous justice, and how it operates in the fictional space. So you can draw conclusions based on your reading. You only will be able to analyze the characters and write character sketches. Now, as you know, Dorian feels conflicting emotions regarding Sybil. Of course, he did feel very sad when he comes to know about Sybil's death. But this Lord Henry has immense effect on him. No? So he says, if you had married Sybil also, you would have been bored with her after some time, and it would have been an unequal match. Moreover, her death itself is a great artistic achievement. Like that, Dorian forgets her within 1 or 2 days. I mean, he had gone to opera. Basil Hallward tells, you went to see an opera when Sybil was dying, like that. But his sense of tragedy is not as intense as it ought to be. He justifies his own action based on the Lord Henry's advice. Now, he gets a present from Lord Henry, referred to as the Yellow Book in the novel. Actually, the Yellow Book refers to a book called Erebus, a French book translated into English called Against the Grain. So this is about a hero, Parisian hero, who leads his life in a very hedonistic manner. I hope you know what is hedonism, no? Wanton luxury, pleasure seeking, excessive pleasure seeking without regard to morals. So, like he believes sensual pleasures are as important as spiritual ones. The hero was a blend of romance and the scientific temperament. The book had a great influence on Dorian. As you know, this Renaissance spirit and scientific spirit, like combined with the wish to know more, learn more, and experience more of life. So Dorian made around 9 copies of the same book, so that whenever he could he could read the book. Like the book had an immense effect on him. So he sort of modeled his life based on this hero. Surprisingly, in the Yellow Book, the hero loses his youth, whereas Dorian has a blessing. His youth never seems to fade. So this is another positive aspect. He had always the look of one who had kept himself unspoiled from the world. So his face, if you look at him, it is as innocent and pure as a person who had kept himself unspoiled from the world. References to Gothic art. Now, you know, pleasure seeking is an endless process. Dorian, as you know, is already rich and he indulges in more pleasure. He pursues art, literature, and music in a very intense manner. For example, once he will be very busy studying music of gypsies. He will organize concerts in his house, Eastern instruments and all, which are very new. And another time he will be studying jewels, different jewelry, their properties. Another time he will be studying perfumes, the intoxicating perfume, rejuvenating perfumes, and also the life sustaining perfumes and all. Meanwhile, he will indulge in some other negative aspects also. As I have already told you, like drugs or narcotic drugs or some other habits. Pleasure seeking also is some irreversible thing. So these pleasures are not enough for him. He flirts blatantly with the many women, and they worship him, but he himself is not attached to anyone. So finally he debases himself in such a manner that he will go to opium dens, prostitute houses. One more thing, Victorian society considered itself to be so superior, but beneath that exterior, there were many antisocial elements such as thieves, opium dens, houses of ill fame, etc. And Oscar Wilde shows how even the rich people used to go there, and yet to the society they were very good looking personalities. But Dorian's these interests, diverse and distinct bizarre instincts, are commented upon by people. By the time he reaches 25 years of age, people start commenting about his mysterious disappearances and his beauty remaining the same. For example, he will disappear from the house for many days and suddenly come. No one even knows where he had been all along. And after these returns, he will go to the room and look at the portrait. One more incident is there. He becomes so afraid of the portrait that he orders the picture to be kept upstairs. Frame maker. He asks a frame maker to come and lift it to, shift it to the study room, boyish study room, wherein he led such a pure life. So this portrait keeps haunting him. Anyway, he lives life in the want and luxury, gossips spread, whispered scandals. As he is a rich man, people dare not utter, openly about his escapades. But civilized society people who are concerned about their reputation and all, they keep themselves away. Then Dorian feels pangs of guilt also at times, and wonders how his life has turned out to be a wreck. Sometimes he will look at the gallery. His is a very palatial house, okay? He will have nice paintings of his ancestors. So he would look at them and think, from whom I inherited all these qualities. See, normally he drowns his guilt, what if at all he has, in these pursuits, but sometimes he will feel pangs of conscience, and he will wonder. His mother's portrait, for example, it was so wonderful. He had inherited his own beauty and his sense of beauty from her, and he had some aunt, who had led an adventurous life, many lovers she had, like that and all. Then meanwhile, another important turning point occurs in the life of Dorian. Basil in the novel is a good angel, you can say. They say no, all human beings have good angel and bad angel. Lord Henry could be considered as a bad angel, whereas Basil is the good angel. Basil asks Dorian why he doesn't come to his studio. Basil was about to go to France for an exhibition. As you know, he is a very famous painter. Before going, he wanted to meet Dorian. Actually, Dorian tries to escape, his visit by pretending not to have noticed. No? But Basil is determined, so he catches hold of Dorian and comes to his house and tells Dorian, "I have something to say. I want some clarifications. See, why many gentlemen who were so close to you are shunning your company? Why is it that your name is referred to with the chagrin? See, many reputed people say that you are not a person fit enough to be in the company of any chaste, in the company of chaste ladies. Many boys have either committed suicide or have become wrecks because of your influence." Then Dorian justifies himself. "See, what have I done? If they wreck their lives, it is none of my fault." Then Basil says, "See, others I wouldn't believe. It's normally, I do not really listen to gossips. By looking at your face, normally the sins of the heart get reflected on the face. As far as you are concerned, you are as innocent and boyish as you were earlier, but the friend circle, people who are so intimate to you, start hating you later, or they come to degradation. What about you?" Then Basil tries to give advice to Dorian. He says, "You lead a pure life. You should be aware of your reputation." This is very classic statement in the novel. He says you should pay attention to reputation. Then immediately Dorian says, "I know, those who have good reputation, I know their real nature." And this is a comment on Victorian society by Oscar Wilde, actually, author function in the novel. Then Dorian, when Basil keeps on insisting, Dorian says, "You want to get the answers? You want to see my soul? Come. See, I have a diary upstairs in which I keep a record of whatever I do every day, and it will not disappoint you. Come." Then Basil, poor Basil, he believes this Dorian, and as you know, so the face of Dorian is so innocent. Basil becomes shocked on seeing the picture. The picture had deteriorated from within. Basil asks Dorian to pray. See, in the beginning, Basil was so shocked to see the picture. This wicked and wrinkled and ugly person. The portrait was the same. It was signed by Basil. No? Then Dorian himself looks at Basil's face as though in a tableau or a play, like a spectator. Then Basil becomes so shocked. He says, "See, if this is the soul, it is worse than what the people were gossiping around." Basil, "Dorian, you should do something about it. Nothing is too late. Okay, let us pray." Then Dorian gets angry. "Who is he to advise me?" So he says, "Once upon a time, I was a nice boy. You made me vain by your portrait." Then his anger keeps mounting. Then suddenly he looks at the knife there. Dorian had taken a knife, to cut some cord, and he just puts a gash, behind the ear of Basil, and trickling of blood, and the poor man dies almost instantly. Next, Basil dies. It is the death of Dorian's conscience. First, it was with the Sybil Wynne. Now it is Basil Hallward who is dying for the sake of Dorian. It will be followed by many deaths in future. Okay. Then he has to dispose the body. Dorian is surprised by his own calm. So what he does, no, he calls for his friend called Alan Campbell. Together they were friends actually at college. Now he was interested in science. Now he is no longer Dorian's friend. As you know, those who were intimate with Dorian once upon a time, they shun his company later on. So Alan is coerced to melt the body of Basil. So Alan Campbell says in the beginning, no, I will not help you. Then first Dorian says, so it was a suicide. Then he says, what if it is suicide? I am not going to help you. Then he says it was a murder. Then he looks at him with a lot of pity. Finally, he blackmails Alan. It is believed that Alan and this one, no, Dorian, they had a homosexual relationship. Probably Dorian, he writes something on a chit of paper and Alan's face gets blanched and he agrees. Finally, as you know, he was a scientist, no? So he melts the body of Basil, probably by nitric oxide and other acids. Then he says, I never want to see you again. But that day, Dorian's mind gets upset. At the party, see, there was a party by Lady Narborough. He feels very uneasy. Plate after plate, he will not. He was not able to eat. So there he had gone, okay, with the nice purple dress, with the flower and all, but on his coat. But that day, the real prick of conscience starts hurting him. Even in his conversation with Lord Henry, he was not as lively as he was earlier. Right? He is haunted by his sense of guilt. He keeps on flirting with women without any attachment. His innocent looks deceive all except his own soul. So that day, he suddenly comes upon the figure of James Wayne. You know James Wayne, no? The brother of Sybil Wayne, who had vowed that if any wrong happens to Sybil, I will not spare the gentleman. So this is another turning point in the novel we will discuss about in the next slide. Thank you.